Stolber Digital. I just want to show you the SERP breakdown that we did for digital marketing Las Vegas. This is part of the SEO competition we're in currently. And I'm just going to jump right into the blog post. I'll do a more detailed analysis and breakdown video later. Just wanted to get this out there. So, too long didn't read version. This will challenge what many people believe about SEO. So dig into this and see what you think. Let me know. I expect to be challenged on this. And bear in mind, this was the results for this particular SERP for digital marketing Las Vegas. A lot of the analysis and studies you see is generalized based on an aggregate data and shows clear trends. But we wanted to look at what's specifically working for this SERP. So here's an old one for you. Keyword density. Keyword density seems to matter in this SERP. Keyword occurrence matters more, and there's a lot more to it than just that, which we'll dig into. Really interesting on this one. Links don't appear to matter, not really at all, which surprised me a lot. Content length, something regularly cited as significant, that does matter, but keyword use matters more. We'll jump into that. URL length, something routinely cited as symptomatic, and I call it symptomatic because it's not causal. Symptomatic of higher rankings. Shorter URL generally is considered one of the things that high ranking pages have. Here we find the inverse of that for this SERP. And this one probably will get a chuckle. Alexa rank gets it right on this one. So, oftentimes the Alexa rank is kind of snubbed and not considered to be a valid parameter for SEO. With this particular SERP, the Alexa rank does kind of trend towards how this SERP ranks. So let's get down into the detail here. So first of all, people tend to overcomplicate SEO. Really break down the SERP. That's what you're trying to beat. There's obviously a whole layer of more detail underneath it from that, but very high level, break down the SERP. That's what you're trying to beat. And it's really important to note that the SERPs aren't just the 10 blue links anymore. You'll see here, the SERP for digital marketing Las Vegas has several different types of features. And what we're trying to do here is meet the SERP intent. So this is something that Ryan Stewart's talked a lot about. There's the searcher intent, what the user's looking for, and then there's the SERP intent, and that's what the search engine thinks the user's trying to find. And you can see with this one, because there's lots of different types of things in there. So we've got the local map pack, we've got organic listings. People also ask more organic listings and searches related to, as well as some sponsored ads. The intent is not clearly matched here, and that's important to note when you're doing keyword research. Okay, so let's jump into first of all, this search was conducted on October 11th. And we categorize the sites just as listing or review types. There's a nuance between them, but they're fairly similar, or agency sites. And so there were some educational institutes here as well ranking, but as the SERPs have churned a little bit with different use on it, the RankBrain AI algorithm has reordered things based on people's use of the SERP, and this is what it was showing as the top 10. And I redacted the actual URLs here just to, not expose anything underlying. I think it would be fine to do that, but just chose not to here. So site A ranking in 1, site B ranking in position 2, etc. Link metrics. So we wanted to look at links, and very many studies, Google's PageRank algorithms, sites that more links, higher quality links, you'll rank higher. Generally that trend is true. So we wanted to ask the questions: do link metrics have anything to do with where these sites rank? Is there anything statistical in linking, and are there patterns? And so what we did, we used a SEMrush and SEO Quake browser plugin. Really useful, quick way to get data from SEMrush. And we dug into it. And so here, this is the overall subdomain backlinks. So backlinks to the whole subdomain. What I'm finding here is there's really no correlation whatsoever. The linear trend fit is flat, and R-squared is 0. Links don't really have anything to do with where these sites rank. Kind of surprising. But you would think, okay, well, not the whole subdomain, but to the specific page? Yeah, not really. Actually, sort of inverse seems to be true, although there's so much noise on here. R squared of 0.094 on a linear trend fit. I'm not exactly going to take that to the bank. But no real strong relationship to links to a page and where it ranks. One thing that was quite interesting, the ratio of internal to external links, and that affects how page rank flow occurs and just how internal link propagation occurs. You just got to look at a Wikipedia page to see how that matters. This does seem to have a reasonably strong positive effect. So here you can see the color scale here for the internal to external link ratio does seem to matter for these SERPs. Traffic metrics, then we look to see, is there anything with traffic? Do higher volume pages generally rank higher? Things like that. Do they rank for more keywords? Does page authority have anything to do with it? So let's jump into that. So page authority does have a small linear trend. Does seem to be important. It's an R squared of 0.068. And you can also look at position 3 has a page authority score of 64 and position 4 page authority score of 0. So not correlated, but trending slightly. So page authority does matter a little bit, and not too surprising there. Search traffic. This was interesting to see. This is just traffic to the page. And I expected to see this at the beginning, but then we see a large jump at the end. That was surprising to me. Similar thing with keywords, and the page in position 10 is probably an outlier condition which throws things here. It's just ranking for a lot of terms that drive traffic, and that comes through in the traffic value as well. So nothing really significant here, but traffic and traffic value doesn't seem to have that much of an effect on where the page ranks. This is where we get really into the detail here on the page factors. And the page style. So we looked a bunch of stats above the fold, and then we looked at the stats for all of the on-page factors as well. So content length, routinely cited as something that matters. Here it does seem to be related. Pretty low R squared value, does correlate reasonably well. So there is something to that there. We looked at the title tag and sorry, I just wanted to jump back to something I forgot to mention here. None of the pages ranking in the top 10 had the exact keyword term that they're ranking for as a string. Not one page that was ranking in the top 10 mentioned the exact keyword that the search was returned for. That's interesting. Back to title tag use. No real patterns, mix match of whether this title was fully displayed in the SERP, whether it was exact keyword match or not. Most of them weren't. Similar story with description. One thing that did jump out is the number of keywords bolded in the SERP meta description did seem to be a little correlated to where the pages rank. Actually, a negative correlation here, minus 0.55, but that would just be more bolded keywords tends to rank higher. Not super strong correlation, but it's definitely a trend. We looked at heading tags above the fold. Nothing really there, nothing too interesting there. The keyword use, this is a really interesting one. So this is one of the reports you get from SEO Quake with SEMrush data, really useful. This was the strongest single correlating factor, and so much so we actually went away from the linear trend fit and used a second order polynomial because it fitted stronger. The use of the term Las Vegas really does matter on this SERP, and that's because it aligns with the entity. So that was very interesting. Let's jump down to anything a little more interesting here. Similar story is true with digital marketing, just not as strong. So that clearly this is aligned with the entity for Las Vegas. That makes sense. Let's jump into more. Then we looked at the single use words, which is less interesting, but they're still significant. URL length. So this is where we find, a reasonably strong fit, not super strong, but you can clearly see the linear trend here with a longer URL ranking in a higher position, sort of inverse and in contradiction to most SEO studies that are more general. And again, some of these things are symptomatic and not causal, so just take that with a grain of salt. Similar to this, we looked at site speed. So core web vitals is going to become a significant thing that we all need to pay more attention to. Not only is it going to become a search factor, it's also a very important usability metric. So we want to pay attention to that. No real strong pattern here. Looked at a bunch of different parameters, scores, where sites rank. And we find the interesting thing we find is the cumulative layout shift. We want to see 0 as best, and the way that trends is actually sites with a larger cumulative layout shift tend to rank higher on this SERP. I don't think there's anything to that. It's just an observation, but the takeaway here is site speed and core web vital performance today in October 2020 don't seem to matter for this one SERP. And then I'm sure I'll get some flack for this. The Alexa rank, again, this is there's a ton of noise on this. It's certainly not causal. It's certainly not correlated, but there is a trend. There is a trend that, the lower your Alexa rank number, therefore the better your Alexa rank, the higher you rank in the SERP. So there is something to that. Again, symptomatic, not causal, I think. Next, when we're breaking down a SERP, look at all of the topics that come up in search suggest and searches related to. Similarly, people also ask. And this is the strategy we're actually employing for this site. So the content marketing strategy we're employing is basically to fully match the SERP intent, fully match answer the SERP, right? So we use this tool from Canva, also ask.com. I suggest you check it out. It's a great tool. Build a tree of the queries that people ask and what it's related to. There is your topic. Google talks about main content in its quality raters guidelines. That is your topic. This is the cluster of associated keywords and questions that people have related to that SERP. So you want to make sure that you fully answer it. Look at the homepage of our test site, dmlv.us, and it's basically answering these questions. And then we're building out more detailed content based on it, fully answering the SERP. So we're breaking down what matters in the SERP. And we've listed, again, so the takeaways here, keyword density and keyword occurrence matter. Content length appears to matter. Links don't. Keyword use matters a lot. URL length has an inverse relationship to what's conventionally considered the norm. And Alexa rank seems to get it right on this one. We've also linked the sites and resources that we referenced in this article. I'm expecting to hear some feedback from this. Please let me know what you think. Tell me if you think anything here is crazy, if you've got any questions or want to know what we did, how we did it. I'm going to probably release the template document that we used to do it, probably in our upcoming newsletter. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks.